The anxious and the avoidant. And that is like a match made in hell.
Yeah.
I used to.
I've dated them. These people.
I know it's toxic
Yeah.
for me to chase the avoidant, but it's exciting. Wait, you've dated narcissists?
What a ride. First things first.
Yes.
As an anxious, in a situationship with an avoidant, your nervous system is cooking.
Yeah.
I know it's cooking. Don't pretend. Don't pretend, babe. It's okay. Your nervous system is cooking. Yeah.
So you're trying to move on, trying to heal. So they come back. What would determine whether you should let go or whether you should work on the relationship?
Lydia.
Hi, Eli.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm here with Flo. Say hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm here to put you on the hot seat.
Oh, goodness me. Okay, okay.
Have you done your test for attachment style, and do you know your attachment style?
I did not.
No,
I did not.
no.
No.
Yeah, 1 hour after we shoot, I'm calling you and I need confirmation of your attachment style, Eli. Do you hear me?
Do the test.
Okay, okay.
All right. I read as secure as well, but let me really start to fall deep in someone.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me do an introduction.
Okay.
First of all, we've got Lydia KM. Oh my God.
Hi, please.
Thank you so much for coming. You did not have to, but you did.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that I can talk to someone who is as passionate about attachment styles as me.
Yeah.
And we were just chatting beforehand and we were like, why are people dating and they don't even know what attachment styles, like what are you doing?
So that's insane. This is insane.
Yeah, that's
it's you I'm talking to.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, we're looking at you.
Yeah. You. Yeah. Like I personally would not date anybody. Like this is a date one question.
Yeah.
And if they don't know, they get to know, they do the test so that we can know. And sometimes it's a bit like, okay, the test is based on you, how you view yourself. So it's not always accurate, but I just want to see the vicinity of where you are so that I'm able to understand you a bit better. But anyway, hi, my name is Lydia KM.
Hi, my name is Flo.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having
you.
this. Shout out to Eli. He set this up.
Yeah.
We called him as well. We're gonna confirm what his is.
Yeah.
In a bit. But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. First of all, I didn't even know that there was a test that you can take.
Yeah, you can do a quiz. There's a quiz in the book attached. There's also a quiz on the website. I guess we can put the link
I will.
here for you to be able to do it. And many things might affect this if you are like maybe not in a relationship, because when I was in a relationship I used to definitely read as secure. There are some things, but there's a default one. There's the one you come back to.
Yeah.
And actually the test in the book actually is able to tell you like you're some parts avoidant, some parts anxious, some parts secure, because it's a spectrum. Like don't see it too much as just like if I'm anxious that's all I am or whatever. And also
It's fluid.
Exactly. And it's more like you have tendencies to be as opposed to I am.
Right.
You know what you put after I am is really powerful. So I have tendencies to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back because I think we've identified people have no idea what attachment styles are.
Yeah.
So what are attachment styles?
Right. So attachment styles, they come from this theory by John Bowlby. This was like in the 50s, and he had this theory that the dynamics between our primary caregivers and us when we were infants is that it basically sets the foundation on how we attach in all our relationships, in friendships, at work, in romantic relationships. Then Mary Atkinson did a study in the 70s. For me, that's where a lot of my views come from. I did psychology in A levels, and that's what we studied. So essentially,
I did psychology in uni as well.
Hi, please.
Hello. There we go.
Twin.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, the study with Atkinson, especially what they did is that they put children, I think they were like maybe around two, with their primary caregiver in an environment, and then what they would do is like remove the primary caregiver to see how the child would react.
I've seen that video. Yes.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
So they'll see how the child reacts to the primary caregiver coming out, and then the results is what now they based the attachment style on. And Atkinson only found the 3.
Hold on. I think let's go pole. Let's go pole. Because you know, first of all, we need to make it a bit more, what would you say, personal, right? So we've got the secure, we've got the anxious, and then we've got the avoidant, but then the avoidant, we've got the two of them.
Yeah.
Now, before we even start describing, because I want to get to the avoidant. That's usually the, hold on, you'll understand. So which one do you resonate with the most, or rather, what were you before, if you don't mind sharing, and
No, of course.
and what are you right now? And I'll share mine too.
Yeah. So as we are
feel
saying,
like,
actually, it's like see as a spectrum, like you
Yes.
can flow through.
Yeah.
So for me, my default attachments are what I lean towards is an anxious. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So I was fearful avoidant, but mild. Look, already to my hands. Ooh. Yeah, we are the ones that you know, apparently before we used to cause havoc. No, but not really. But now, but I was a mild fearful avoidant.
Okay.
So now you can explain like how you were in a relationship. It could even be a friendship, how you were as an anxious person.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why I was saying about like what came to be is that
Yeah.
it will make sense why you are that way in a relationship. So like now the anxious child, the secure child now in this experiment is one who the primary caregiver was very attuned to their needs.
Yeah.
They could suss like this is what my child needs and give them. So then the secure child
Consistently.
yes,
Yeah.
consistently they come to understand that the world is safe, my needs are met, and the world is not a scary place.
Yeah.
Then the anxious child, who is their needs are met inconsistently, they come to know that yes, their needs can be met, but they are in this constant anxiety of will my needs be met. So it's like they have this lack of trust. They need that closeness because they are tasting their needs being met. So they love that kind of intimacy and the connection and whatever, the reassurance,
validation.
However, they don't trust it. They don't trust it because it's not coming consistently enough. And now the avoidant child, they are not getting their needs met kind of period. So they learn to create distance with their primary caregiver because they know that their needs are not going to be met.
Yeah.
So now for me as an anxious attacher, in relationships, the way that it is that I need to constantly be reassured that my attachment is there. I need that bond to not have any threats around it.
So how would it look like? Would it be
Right.
more like, what would you need to hear?
Right. Okay. So for me, once I'm in a relationship, done. And that's actually most anxious people. I am not insecure. I'm not jealous. Nothing. Once I'm in a relationship and it's stable, we are good.
Okay.
But when there's a threat of that,
So you're
instability,
triggered. Yeah.
yes, if there's kind of any threat there, it's going to look like there are things called protest behavior. So it's like you're attempting to get closeness from this person, but you're acting the opposite way. So for example, storming off, like shouting, like being like making your partner jealous, you know, those things that you think you want. It's a bid for connection, but you're not doing it the right way. That's why you find a lot of people being like, leave them, like go, but you don't want them to go.
Yeah.
This is a ploy for them to say to you, no, I'm staying and I'm going to fight for you, because you don't trust that, you know, your connection is safe. You kind of test it. And I've seen how, especially early on, before I understood myself a bit better, like when I was 18 and stuff, I used to test that boyfriend a lot. I used to just like try to confirm that, you know, like, because the idea is the world is not safe. You're not going to meet my needs. So I'm testing.
Interesting. So fearful avoidants do the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know you do.
Yeah.
I've dated.
No, I used to.
You lot. I used to. I've dated them. These people.
No, don't do that. No, but that's the thing. I wonder though. So I was talking to my friend yesterday, and they are anxious, but for them, they have this hero complex. So they want to fix someone.
Yeah.
And usually it's the avoidant. And that is like a match made in hell.
Yeah. Oh, death.
The anxious and the avoidant.
That
and
dance.
we'll explain what the avoidant. So with the avoidant, you've got the fearful avoidant, and then you've got the dismissive avoidant. We'll explain all that, right? So what is it about the anxious that loves the chase of the avoidant? What is it?
I feel like it's like magnets, right?
Yeah.
So the avoidant is afraid of like intimacy and getting close to people, and is very hyper independent.
Yeah.
And what their belief system at the core of it is that people do not meet my needs. And then an anxious, their entire world is about their needs. So they're
Yeah.
so hyperfixated on meet my needs, the way my primary caregiver didn't.
Yeah.
Obviously, none of this is conscious. So then you're pulling each other. So now the anxious is making you, it's proving to you what you believe, that your needs are not going to be met because I'm just obsessed with my own needs, right?
Yeah.
And then what you're proving to me is that people don't meet my needs, what I actually believe, which you're not, because you won't be open, you're not trying to build intimacy, you're afraid of closeness. So it's like we are both confirming to each other our worst nightmares, and that's where the attraction is so close. And for each of us, is that if I do meet an avoidant who does meet my needs, I feel like my world is resolved. I'm trying to resolve something. It's a compulsive repetition.
Yeah. It's so interesting you're saying that, and we'll talk about the cycles that happen, the push and pull dynamic. And when it comes to this makes so much sense when I was just like, wow. For the anxious, when I was even talking to my friend, I just wanted to find out, okay, so you know what they said? They're like, I know it's toxic for me to chase the avoidant. And it's a guy, by the way.
He's an anxious.
He's an anxious.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he attracts the avoidant.
Right.
And he feels that he can fix the avoidant in the sense that he can make the girl open up and become vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right? I believe for the anxious, when that happens, there's a bit of a dopamine hit.
Yeah.
There's like a high. And it's what you're saying. It validates. They're looking for a familiar environment, very reminiscent of what they were lacking when they were children.
Yeah.
And he said, I know it's wrong. I know it's toxic, but it's exciting.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus, not even you. Watch this video. You see, I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
You love it because it actually it's a bit of a high. It's exciting.
It is.
It's thrilling in the beginning until you get hurt.
Of course.
Yeah.
And those chemicals that he's running towards, he's felt them before.
Yeah.
He's going towards the familiar. It's not because it's exciting, it's because it's what's familiar. He knows that feeling. He knows what it's like to not have his needs met. So he's only going back to what he knows. That's all he's known.
Yeah.
He knows to have needs and his needs are not met. Boom. Let's do this. And even though it seems like he's trying to get the girl to open up, it's not about the girl. It's about him. Because if I get you to open up, you then are able to undo the thing that I'm trying to disprove, which is like people can't meet my needs. And funny enough, it's like you tend to find the person who is hardest.
Yeah.
Hardest, because if you can prove it through them, then that's it. Then you are lovable. Then your needs can't be met. That's why.
So with the fearful avoidant, well, that's what I was a mild fearful avoidant. And I would wonder why sometimes I would be warm and then sometimes I would be cold. And we are the people that give mixed signals.
I've dated one of you.
It's just looking at me like, oh my God. But this was
It's
when...
a mindfuck.
And this was when I was in my early 20s. With the fearful avoidant, it could be, usually traumatic experiences, whether it's physical or emotional or verbal abuse, whatever. But also just remember that some of these attachment styles don't also necessarily come from... You could be secure because of your family. You grew up in a very functional background. But you could also get some attachment styles that can change because of other adult relationships were very traumatic. But anyways, so what happens with the caregiver, they would not be attuned to your needs or they would be inconsistent. So sometimes they would be very warm and then sometimes they'll be very cold. And I think with the fearful avoidant and with the dismissive to some degree is that they learned, oh, if I'm vulnerable, I hate the way this feels. I hate it. So I will not be vulnerable. And that's a self-protecting, self-preserving mechanism. And whenever someone now comes close and tells you, open up, and by the way, you do enjoy the closeness. You do enjoy the intimacy.
You guys have the hardest time.
You enjoyed it. You actually do enjoy it. But then
it's also scary.
But then when they come close, you're like, what are you doing? Stop. Get out. That's actually what happens with a fearful avoidant. And at that moment, you see, it's in the subconscious.
Yeah.
It's not in the conscious. And those emotions are so overwhelming. They are.
Yeah.
So you can't really say, right now as you become secure, you can say, oh, wait, this is a trigger. And you can isolate it. And you're feeling it, but you have the tools and capacity to say, okay, this is a trigger. Now I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But at that moment, no.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot of people, I've seen a lot of videos of people actually demonizing avoidance. And one of the appeals of the avoidance, I guess, face value, is that they can be mysterious, they can be independent. Do you want to explain why they tend to be independent?
People can't meet their needs.
Yeah.
They learned that early on. So it's just like they need to be the ones who meet their needs, and they really guard their hyper independence like at all costs. Like they just need to keep as independent as possible.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying, like what you said about like the more aware you are, the better it gets.
Yeah.
Especially if you're allowing your self-awareness to inform your decisions. By the way, I know there's a difference between that. I've been self-aware all my life, but I have not been allowing that self-awareness to make the decisions for me. Like I'll be aware, like, okay, this is an anxious avoidant dance,
I
and
love
still
that.
run into it. So
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like people are self-aware, but are you allowing that self-awareness to inform your decisions? So that's where I am now
Yeah.
with dating. If somebody is like kind of uplifting and kind of very over intense emotions, this is not
Ooh,
safe. I need to take a minute.
The love bombing.
And just like that excitement. Now it's just like I'm calm around you.
Yeah.
Green flag.
Yeah.
So yeah, with the avoidant, it's like having learned that your needs are not going to be met, then you just learn to keep it that way. You learn to keep, it's me, I need to rely on myself, and it's only me, that kind of setup. So when somebody tries to come into your emotional world, trying to kind of pull those needs out and put you in that vulnerable state where you might need to depend on them to get your needs met, it's like absolutely no, because I know how this goes. I already know that my needs aren't being met, and it's a hard situation to be in.
Yeah.
And now I understand and I empathize with avoidance.
That's so, I love that you said that, because until you understand what the attachment styles are, you can take it so personally, and you can tie the relationship to your self-worth, and you can think that you're unworthy. You can think that there's something wrong with you. But then when you understand, oh wait, so this person, there's an imprint on them. There's the nervous system. That's also the other thing with fearful avoidance, is that we tend to actually be very we read between the lines. So we're also good at reading emotions. Because everything is a threat. It's like we'll even talk about self-sabotage at some point. But when you learn that this is how people are, and they have core wounds because of how they grew up as children, you stop demonizing them, and you empathize. And you say, you know what, it's actually not about me.
It's not about you at all. And actually, one of the authors of the book Attached will be here somewhere. This is what we always do on our podcast. Somewhere here is happening.
Yes.
And the editor is just seeing notes. But yeah, he said, or she, I'm not sure which one it was, they said that they would have been way easier on avoidance, because that book really painted a picture of avoidance, which is just like very easy to demonize them. It's just kind of like you're cold, you don't like emotion, and
selfish.
Exactly, very selfish. And because the world celebrates warmth, and now avoidants are very much demonized, but it's not like that. Now I have a lot of empathy, because it's the same thing that's happening to you. You, as an anxious, you can't help yourself being overly clingy and needy and obsessed. The same way they can't help themselves, that is really severely like a threat to them. That coldness to you is a threat, but that warmth and that's a threat to them. So that's the way I see it now. But what I need is that anyone who I'm interacting with is aware of that dynamic.
I love
is
it.
aware, because without self-awareness, it's like we are blind. And it's not that the anxious and avoidant can't work, but they need two very conscious people who are able to be vulnerable and work through it. Because an avoidant who's not doing the work, I'm not dating you. There's no conversation there.
So I hear a lot of people confusing the avoidant and the narcissist. And
Right.
I hear people saying, oh my God, I dated a narcissist. It's like, I don't think you understand what a narcissist is.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll start by saying the things that they both share is that both the avoidant and the narcissist tend to be very selfish, very self-centered.
Right.
They can be dismissive, but what are the key things that differentiate a narcissist and an avoidant?
So for me, funny enough, I wouldn't even categorize avoidance from like that selfish aspect,
Yeah.
because I understand what's happening underneath it. I just feel like it comes off protective. The avoidants who I've dated were very deeply empathetic people. They just weren't able to access the emotions the way that I needed to. They weren't as comfortable in emotions the way that I was. That's like the biggest difference I would see. Narcissists lack empathy. There is no empathy. A lot of the way that they're going to interact with you is from a place of me. And I don't necessarily think that avoidants are like that.
No.
Yeah, some of the nicest people, some of the kindest people I know are avoidants. It's just like the biggest threat comes with closeness. Once you introduce that, that's when it's going to be like shaken.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Whereas a narcissist has a consistency of selfishness, lack of empathy, seeing you as a means to an end, low accountability. Everything is kind of from their POV. Yeah. Oh, I think there's a huge difference between narcissists and avoidance.
Love it.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest difference that I've seen with narcissists and avoidance is the intent.
Okay.
So narcissists will bring you close intentionally.
Right.
They will make you open up, tell you about your dreams, your ambitions, your goals, so that down the line they will use it against you on purpose.
Right.
And they will use that information to control you, to manipulate you. It's all about admiration and attention to themselves.
Yeah.
They will isolate you from your friends. Avoidance will not do that. If anything, avoidance are like, you've got your friends, good.
They support
Please.
your independence.
Yeah, they support it. I would say the biggest difference is the intent. Narcissists will purposefully hurt you. I don't even think we explained what the dismissive avoidant.
Yeah, the dismissive avoidant is the so you're saying you're fearful avoidant.
Fearful,
it's the
mix,
wanting closeness.
it's like
and
a
the
cat.
mix.
It's like come. It's like, what are you doing? No, stay
Yeah.
there.
So the avoidant is just stay there.
Yeah.
It's just stay there.
Just stay there.
Permanently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they love in fact, independence is not a bad thing. They're hyper independent.
They are.
Hyper independent, commitment. What? Hey.
And they have a super high inflated sense of self.
Yes.
And they devalue other people. Whereas anxious, we overvalue other people and devalue ourselves a bit. Yeah.
So the thing is generally with the avoidance is they have issues with commitment.
Yeah.
That's a trigger for them. It's like commit to you forever.
Risking their hyper independence.
And it's not funny. This is crazy. It's not that they don't want a loving, healthy relationship.
As we all do.
We all do.
Yeah.
Deep inside, we have a longing for intimacy and closeness.
Yeah.
The problem with the avoidance, especially now the dismissive avoidant, is it's too risky. Relationships are too risky for them.
Yeah.
They're like, you're going to hurt me.
And I've been in relationships with many, so that was fun.
Kwanzaa, let me tell you, and I think I can speak from, not as a dismissive avoidant, but as a fearful. It would somewhat scare me when I would open up and become vulnerable, and I'd love it, by the way, the closeness. And I'm like, oh my God, this is it. I love this person, blah, blah, blah. And then at some point, I'm triggered. So the fearful avoidant has the anxious, and they've got the
and it's a very
avoidant.
low percentage of people actually. Yours is the least studied.
I just had to be
it's the least studied because most of the time it's been anchored on those three. Yeah.
So they can swing on a pendulum of anxious and dismissive. So they activate in the anxious and then they deactivate. Now, see, they're close. And it's genuine. They will tell you all these things. Listen, I want to be with you. I even love you. They're like, I opened up. This person is going to use this information and they will hurt me for sure. They will. They create now that emotional distance. because they're scared. They're deeply scared of being hurt. The fear actually overrides the emotions that they have for you.
Yeah, I've actually I've been in that exact dynamic.
Do you want to talk
where-
about it?
Yeah, so first of all, let me give you an example.
Yes,
When I was in
please.
the anxious and avoidant dance, I remember there's a time I was going through something really deeply emotional, and my partner just wasn't able to create a safe space and like meet me emotionally in like how I felt, like, talk about my emotions, like go deep in it. And I remember this deeply vulnerable moment where he was just like, what if I don't know how to deal with grief?
Interesting.
And he literally just didn't know. He didn't know what to do with me being this emotional. He didn't know which part of him to access to be able to like comfort me and tell me like, how are you feeling? Like, what does this feel like? Like,
And he's
how
being
can I support you?
honest.
And he's being so honest. And I would never forget that day.
Wow.
But because I wasn't self-aware enough,
Yeah.
or I didn't have enough of the tools to kind of help me deactivate, that was a deeply annoying and irritating thing to hear in this moment where I really needed emotional support. So you see what's the problem? Like two people who literally don't have the tools to be able to deactivate themselves and be able to kind of come together and work together. So that's something I always remember. And now with the self-awareness I have, I feel a lot of empathy for him. I do. Now the dynamic with the fearful avoidant was exactly like that. Like super, like able to be very close, very vulnerable, kind, and all of these things. But
Big
every
emotions.
so often,
Yeah.
it's like you're pulling away. I can quite literally feel that you're pulling away. And we did that dance a few times, and I was just like, I'm
Okay,
off
wait.
the roller coaster.
So now let's talk
I'm off.
let's talk about that dance, that push and pull. So you were anxious at the time, right? He pulls away. What would you do thinking, okay, I need this person to get close?
The first thing you think when you're anxious and somebody starts pulling away, it's about you. Like you've done something wrong, right? So you start over analyzing. You're very preoccupied. Anxious are preoccupied.
Yeah.
We're very preoccupied with our relationship. So that's what you start going into it. You can even start feeling physical changes. Like you're very overactive. Your nervous system is sensitive. That's
Yeah.
another one with anxious.
Yeah.
So it's like you feel like you're spiraling, like just thinking about what's going on when someone hasn't responded responded early enough.
And you sent the text, right?
Right, and then now you're waiting. That wait,
Oh my
it's because there's not a confirmation of my attachment is safe and it's secure. Any moments where you're like that, and actually a lot of anxious are the most anxious in that pre-dating. But literally me, once I get into the relationship,
Fisher.
done. But now there's another threat, then it's activated again. So there's moments where my nervous system is activated or my attachment style is activated. But for the most part, I'm like calm like that. So it's like those very like you get so preoccupied in the relationship. But now because I know it's like I'm spiraling, this
Yeah.
is my attachment style that's being activated.
Yeah.
It's because of this. It's
Yeah.
because there's like lack of clarity here. You kind of talk yourself through it. Does this stop it from feeling like really like your life is being threatened? No. But now it's like
Yeah.
I've evolved quite a bit more into like secure.
Yes.
Like as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
Lots of therapy, lots of being emotionally intelligent and being honest. Being honest with someone. I attach anxiously. So when you do X and Z, I start feeling this way. Yeah, so that this person knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One key thing that guys you have to remember is that all these emotions and thoughts happen subconsciously.
Yeah.
It's not that you want to.
No.
It's not that you want to act that way. It's just that at that moment, everything feels real. And you cannot control it.
Real. Like, oh my God. I even remember some of those feelings when you're triggered,
Now, that's the thing. You see, you said something. So, with a lot of people, they remember those feelings. And if you're secure, you know how to deal with them.
Right.
With the avoidance, they suppress. And they're like, nope, I hate how this feels. I'm not going to deal with it.
Yeah.
But then what's funny is that at some point it's going to come back and you'll have to deal with it and you'll self-soothe in the wrong ways.
Yeah.
And then you end up in the same cycle.
Yeah.
So let's talk about self-sabotage in relationships.
Yeah.
I think let me say this with a fearful avoidant is that, which is so interesting. If a fearful avoidant is with an avoidant, they lean more to anxious.
And yeah, because who do you guys date?
So it depends. So it's whoever.
You can date anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then if you're with an anxious, you become more avoidant.
That makes sense. That makes so
Yeah.
much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was younger and I would be, there was emotional conflict. I hated it. I didn't want to deal with it. The emotions were just too much, and I would act not because not because I wasn't aware that I hurt the person sometimes, but when someone would say, "Let's talk about it,"
You
it's
want to
like,
go run.
yeah, or I pretend that nothing happened, and then the other person is like, "What? You just did."
Gaslighting.
Yeah. No, but
Nice.
not really.
Not consciously.
Narcissists now gaslight.
Oh, definitely.
Kwanzaa,
That's for sure.
remember, avoidance run away from conflict.
Yeah.
Narcissists, they love it. They bring it on. Bring up the fight, and
I've
then they'll
dated a narcissist
gaslight
as
you.
well.
They'll tell you why you're so emotional, and then they'll see your emotions like, oh, I love it.
What a ride.
Wait, you've dated a narcissist?
What a ride. What a ride. And so when people compare narcissists and avoidance, I think it's deeply unfair and
Yeah.
so inaccurate because no. No.
Yeah.
They're not at home because avoidance are demonized. That's why they're grouped that way. But if you've dated both, I promise you there's like a massive difference.
So how do anxious sabotage the relationship?
So with anxious, what I found for me is that, first of all, it's self-sabotage for you to be consciously getting into a relationship with an avoidant who won't do any work. And so you already know the relationship is going to be over.
Deep down.
Deep down, you know. You are entering into this so that you can get into this anxious avoidant dance so that they can prove to you again that people can't meet your needs and you continue on with the story of your life. That's
Yeah.
the love story of your life.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of sabotage when you're openly and consciously entering into a dynamic where someone is avoidant and they're not trying to do anything about it. So that's one. Two, something that I found is kind of it's the constant tests that I've said. It's like I'm testing to see if you can really meet my needs. Because
Yeah.
again, this entire relationship for me as an anxious is about my needs. I am here for you to meet my need. Everything is about me.
Yeah.
That I hope you're clear
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
So let's get on the same page.
Yes.
So because of that, it's like constantly trying to test this person to have them confirm my love story or disprove it, which can be really tiring and exhausting. Also, sometimes it's I'll leave you before you leave me.
Hold on.
Ending the relationships like prematurely.
Wait,
Yeah.
love. That is fearful
Yeah,
avoidance.
I know. But I've seen that sometimes I'm like that. Yeah, it's kind of part of protest behavior where it's just like I'll get out.
On. So,
Like
were you
if-
purely anxious though? 'Cause
I was purely anxious, but this is the way, or for me, the way I understand it now, is that when my attachment is threatened, right? Part of protest behavior is leaving. So sometimes you're not leaving to really leave, but now you've left. It's protest behavior. I'm trying to like have you come after me and pull back. But
Babe.
if you don't, it's over, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God. Wait, because I was going to say the same thing with the
Yeah.
fearful avoidant, the constant testing. So because they tend to be very suspicious of people, they don't trust people, depending on the spectrum that you are in. But they do that.
Yeah.
So it's like,
mostly an avoidance trait.
so they say, wait, because I can sense you're going to leave me, I'm going to leave you first.
Oh, that's a typical thing for avoidance. But with anxious, I don't think it's exactly what they mean to do.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, one, it's like, okay, you've left me. Like now let's go back to like how the child dynamic was. You, primary caregiver, you've left me. You've left me. So when you're trying to come back, I don't want you to be back. Like, because how dare you leave in the first place?
Yeah.
And you could easily end up like that, like ending it. There's a time, what's it?
Oh, so you want them to fight for you
Yes.
like in the movies?
Yeah, it's exactly like that because I need you to come and prove to me that you can meet my
That
needs.
you love me.
There's actually a relationship like
can only-
way back when I was a lot younger where the dynamic was kind of like he was like I can't do this anymore. He was just venting it out. So I was like, okay, fine. That's how our relationship ended. But the truth is, I could tell he was just kind of venting out that he's upset about this. But I was just like,
Interesting.
okay. So now I'm the anxious. That's protest behavior. I want him to say, okay, like, and I want him to be like, no, babe, like, that's not what I mean. Let's make it work.
Yeah.
Right? And he's an avoidant. So he's not trying to like get into this deep closeness.
No.
The relationship is over.
Krisha, it's
Done.
like, okay, sour.
Like that. Like joke. You know, but that's again when you're not aware of like exactly what's going on and things
And then,
like that.
wait, were you waiting for them to call you back? How did that go?
That's it. That was the end of the relationship.
Did they reach out to you?
Later, way later,
How-
but then now it was done.
How long?
Like ages after, like a year or something.
Oh, you had
Like,
already moved on.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah. But also the relationship wasn't exactly great. So it was just
Yeah.
kind of like, this isn't how it should have ended, but you know?
Whatever.
Yeah.
With the fearful avoidant, but I'd also say with the dismissive as well, they look for flaws in the other person subconsciously. So flaw finding in the other person to validate why this relationship will not work.
Yeah. Putting your exes on a pedestal
Oh,
so that this other
idolize,
person
yeah.
looks lower.
My God, have you heard of CG Phantom exes? There's
No.
this thing that the avoidance, but this has to be especially with the dismissive. It's
Yeah.
a severe
I
dismissive
think
thing.
I've heard that term. Is it about like putting your ex on a pedestal?
But then it's not even just one. It's like some attributes of different exes. So you see, hey, Aki, with the dismissive avoidance, is that they want a perfect partner who does not have needs. You know why? Because they're thinking, listen, I'm not going to ask you to take care of my needs. So you also
don't.
should not. But that's not realistic.
Yeah.
So in that case, they find they're like, this person is too needy. This person is too clingy.
Yeah.
They always constantly need reassurance. So no, this is too much for me. That's why we need to end this thing.
I also think that avoidance sometimes they do attract people who are obsessed with their own needs because they get too obsessed about somebody else's stuff and not their own. Like if you're with somebody who's constantly emotional and
Yes, yeah.
we always get to talk about those stuff over there, but not me.
Yeah.
You know, I also have dated quite a few avoidants who have like this kind of they want to take care of me-ish, like I'm some kind of project to them. It's really weird.
Or like you're not a human being.
There's a way, like like kind of almost like trying to father me. Yeah. There's a lot of ways that anxious people come off like very emotionally like children.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about situationships. Because I think people don't really understand how the attachment stuff, you know, even when I was reading this, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. This is a blueprint to understand why people get into situationships.
Yeah.
And they don't even understand why.
First things first.
Yes.
As an anxious, if you're in a situationship with an avoidant, your nervous system is cooking.
Yeah.
I know it's cooking. Don't pretend. Don't pretend, babe. It's okay. Your nervous system is cooking because it is the worst dynamic because it has all the trimmings of a relationship without any of the security. And you, to have a calm nervous system, you need that security. So I've been in a situationship with avoidance before. One of them was terrible because I had no awareness of what was happening in the dynamics. You know, so it's just like you are seeking this person out so that you can, like, you know, prove to yourself that, you know, you can get them. So you're trying to kind of change them.
Fix them.
Yes. What's it? Brenda the Builder.
Yeah.
I see you, sweetheart. I see you. And it was like for ages, and they were like a severe avoidant as well. So having that at play without self-awareness was so horrible. Like I can literally feel like the feeling physically. Now, as I got older, I learned, like I've turned a situation into a relationship before, not once or twice. Like not once or twice.
What?
I'm not proud.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know how. It's kind of one of those. Eventually,
But you look very strong-willed. Yeah, you do. You're like, you know what?
I want this. I'll get it. It's like you start tending to the avoidant. Like you start nurturing them in a way, like in that dynamic of like being like a fixer and a whatever, you start nurturing the avoidant in a way that they find comfort. They
that's
find
what, and
comfort.
that's what they are looking
Yeah,
for.
that you find comfort. And I guess to some degree, you are ignoring your own needs being with this person. And the more of your needs you're ignoring, the more comfortable they're feeling, because they also don't want to have to be dealing with like the emotional part of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, then you find yourself in a relationship and here you are.
Remember what we said about the avoidance.
Yeah.
They are scared of commitment.
That's what they love most, situationships.
Because of their independence, any commitment or a relationship is a threat to their independence, hyper independence. And I realized that there is neurochemically,
Yeah.
I guess now this hit home for me, is that with the avoidant, there's this hormone called cortisol. It's the stress hormone, but it's also the thing that actually wakes you up in the morning because of how turbulent the avoidance nervous system is. They're high in cortisol. So you see where you get oxytocin. That's the bonding hormone. That's the one that mothers and the children actually get to bond. I hope I'm not losing you guys, but this will make a lot of sense. The avoidance oxytocin receptors are blocked by the cortisol. So the nervous system is always, remember, they're always in survival mode, fight or flight mode.
I feel sick as you talk.
I know. So you've got the closeness. Let's even talk about even sex. What hormone is released during pleasure seeking? Dopamine. So now you've got the anxious who wants that closeness. They probably get very intimate. Oxytocin is released in the anxious. They get bonded to the avoidant. The only thing that has been released with the avoidant is dopamine and temporarily the oxytocin.
And venom. Now I'm joking.
Just a little bit of like some drops in there, right? So now the anxious is bonded literally to the avoidant, but the avoidant is only reaching out to the anxious because of they want to get the dopamine hit quickly, pleasure seeking, but they're not bonded. Let me tell you the chemical that bonds people. It's called vasopressin, and it's very high in men. That's why you guys, have you noticed when men are friends, they really are very close. And that's because vasopressin is actually released when you do challenging things together. It's actually
Shifu taught us about how like men bond.
And it's actually the hormone that determines long-term relationships. It's when you go through adversity, when you fought, and then through the emotional conflict, you've been able to come out the other side.
There's a podcast I listen to, the best podcast for me as far as dating. We'll link it here below.
Hell yeah.
Editors, take
Yes. Brian, please write it down. You know I'm the one who's even editing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, girl. Okay, I'll try and send you these. Anyway, there's a test that was done, and you can go and get like verbatim exactly what she said in the podcast. There's a study that was done and was for pigeons. So it's like they were like, let's say in this little kind of box, and every so often a little bit of food would be released to them, right? And they'll just take it. And then it will be like very consistent. They'll take it. So one of them, it remained consistent throughout, right? Or whatever. Then one of them, it's like it wasn't consistent. It wasn't consistent at all. And with this one that wasn't consistent, they got more obsessed with getting it because it wasn't being consistently given. So like and I'm definitely paraphrasing here, maybe I might be getting some things wrong, but what the point of it was, when you're not getting something consistently enough, you get a bit of an addiction to it, right? So that's the thing with like bad boys or maybe like situational dynamics, where it's just like you're getting what you want but not consistently enough. So that will I, won't I thing is what keeps you attached. So hear me out. I am not exactly opposed to situationships. I'm not. But I feel it's like, let's get serious, right? If you know that you want more from this person, stop. Just stop and stop lying to yourself. But in dynamics where it's just kind of like, I already know this is not somebody who I would ever be able to get to a relationship
You're on the same page.
Do it. But if you're not, and majority of the time, especially on the woman side, you won't be. You won't be on this. And also, actually, sometimes it's the guy who's not on the same side because, like now you're telling me like you love me, let's do more, we are going on dates. something has changed here. Being honest about that change
Yeah.
is really important.
And I think what happens with situationships, with the cycle, the push
Yeah.
and pull, is that the avoidant gives just a little. It's like breadcrumbing, just a bit, but never.
Keep you
yeah,
there,
but
but
never
not-
enough. It's like so they ghost you, and then you're trying to move on. You're like,
Yeah.
you know what, this is not for me. Blah blah blah, and then they send you a text.
See,
I
no,
miss
I can't
you.
do that. Maybe it's because I'm in my 30s, but we're not doing that anymore.
No.
Yeah, you
No.
either know what you're trying to be about, or you're not. And also, respect and kindness are a bare minimum.
Yeah.
It's not because someone is in a
Bare
relationship with
minimum.
you that they can now not be respectful of or kind. We're actually saying, like, are you, is like, is this person having, does this person have great sex and this is so stormy? Or is that the only time you get affection from them? Is that the only time they're nice to you? Is that why you're obsessed with the sex? Because after that, he turns again into like this,
Yeah.
like shit.
And you end up chasing because you want more.
No. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
No. If you can't be kind to me, if you can't be respectful to me, it's okay. Ain't no dick that good.
Yeah.
I can put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Ain't no dick that good.
Lydia KM. Hell yeah. You know, it's so sad, especially if you're not on the same page. There's a lot of wasted time. There's wasted
Pain.
weeks, months,
Yeah.
even years. How are you
the way-
how are you in a
the way-
situationship for 10 years? Aki,
That's a real thing.
no, we can't. No,
That's
it really
a
is.
real thing. Like, you are not in a relationship, but you guys have been kind of in a relationship for like ages. There's this woman who called in, and she was like, "We've been together for 10 years, but he's married, but their situationship has overlapped, and he's been married. So
Yeah.
the marriage came after her, but she's just
Oh my
been there.
God. And you know what's crazy?
So she came first, and
Oh, wait.
he's married. Yeah, she
She
came
came-
first. They were in a situationship, and he got into a relationship and married somebody else while the situationship was continuing.
Okay, how does that even happen? Aki, human beings are crazy. Men.
And you don't see how it happens. It just kind of does. It just somehow ends up happening. And I empathize, by the way.
Yeah.
I hope this is not coming at all like
Yeah.
from a shameful perspective. But I want you to just know what's going on. And the reason you're lying to yourself is because a lot, you know that sunken cost fallacy. I've spent so
Love
much
it.
time here. Let me continue on.
Yeah.
You know, but really don't waste more time because you've wasted enough time. Like, let what you've wasted be it.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of self-confidence and self-assuredness that comes when you're like a lot older, more self-aware like me. I've been dumb with a capital D, so don't get it twisted. I know. But now as I've evolved, it's just kind of like, no way. You have to be nice to me. Like, it's not a conversation. And then when I realize, like, maybe, okay, emotions are getting attached and things are not like where I want them to be, I'll be honest and we move on. Actually, the way one of our situationship evolved, I was just like, I'm done wasting time. I was just like, you take the weekend, we think about what we want. I already knew what he wanted. You take the weekend away and I'll take the weekend away, and then we just decide, like, are we moving on and being serious about this, or are we done?
Yeah.
And then be bold enough to just be like, be done. Yeah, if somebody's not giving you what you want.
Yeah. And I guess, I don't know, there's this sentiment, and it probably could be true, that people say Nairobi, it's the streets.
Yeah.
And it's what you're saying. You have a lot of avoidance, a lot of anxious people. And you even wonder, where are these secure people? Guys, do you know where they are? They're either in a relationship, they're either married, or they will not settle for less.
Yeah.
That's where they are.
True. I have a
that's
great
what it
dating
is.
season now, and I think it's because I'm closer to secure.
Yeah.
It's not such an intense world right now. Yeah.
Oh, really, yeah?
Yeah. When you're secure, it's not as intense. And also, you kind of just, you're more self-assured.
Do you know why? And I think you know why.
Why?
Because if you're secure, you attract secure.
Oh, yeah?
You see,
Recently, I'm actually attracting more anxious, which is making me think, am I avoidant?
hello?
Yeah.
No, but
interesting.
probably the anxious are coming to you because they're like, this is stable.
All right.
Yeah, fix me.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't
hear
know. No, but I guess it's not that you won't attract the dusties, but you'll be able to say, this one,
Yeah, you won't tolerate. I feel like, you know,
won't.
people are always like, oh my God, how am I attracting this? Anyone can attract
I just call
anything.
them dusties,
It's what
God.
you tolerate. it's what you tolerate, honestly. Like,
really
yeah,
is.
what comes into your space is whatever, but what you tolerate is like kind of now that what you need to look into. Yeah.
Yeah, your standards are high. You know your needs. You know your boundaries.
Yeah.
One thing with fearful avoidance that I realize, there's such extremes in with boundaries. It's either because remember they don't know how to communicate their emotional turmoil.
You are giving me insight to someone so much. I can't even.
Really, yeah?
I can't even.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me tell you, the psychology thing, you see, I am so intrigued by why do we do what we do? Why do we behave like this? And I become obsessive because I'm like, this has to make sense. And then once you see, it's like joining puzzle pieces and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
You're telling me
It's
this
so
complex
interesting.
thing can be explained by something like this.
Yeah.
And with the fearful avoidance, remember they lean both anxious and avoidant. So in the beginning, and it's true, they do care about you. They big feelings, in fact, but sometimes they're not even aware of the needs that they want.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of lack of boundaries, and then something triggers them, and then they're like, get out. And you know when they're saying get out because they don't have the tools to explain, oh, this is what I want, what you did, blah, blah, blah. I used to find it quite embarrassing, actually, when I was younger, because I would associate being vulnerable as sometimes even being weak. So I'd hold all those feelings, and something has bothered me, and I would get so upset at some point because they've piled up.
All right, for sure.
And then something happens, and I blow up, and I say, you see? And then at that point, I have such strict boundaries. So it's either none.
It's extreme.
Yeah, so it's either lack of boundaries or strict, where now this would explain why there's some people who just cut you off.
Yeah. Ghosting. You
Ghosting.
explain ghosting as well.
Catching you off.
Yeah.
And then they come back after. We'll even talk about that.
I want to say this though,
Yes.
even though we are like going into all of this analysis of what this might be happening, why this person might be acting this way, all of that. But what you need to go on is what somebody is doing. So it's fine. You can have a conversation and be like, I'm aware that you're an anxious attacher. I just want to reassure you that we're just having a fight for now. It's going to be okay. It's like totally fine. By the way, as an anxious, then this is why I know like I put towards secure as well. When I have a fight with my partner, like, and now it's like my partner wants to just kind of like sort it out. I don't mind going to bed angry. Normalize that. Normalize it, because when I wake up tomorrow, I'll feel better. But now in the height of the emotions, we are both so here.
Yeah,
Let us calm down.
Yeah.
So like now, if your partner knows that you're anxious, they can just tell you, I'm reassuring you. It's going to be okay. I'm just going for a walk. We are good. We're just having a fight and it's going to be okay. That would feel so good to an anxious. Now for
Communication.
For communication,
Yeah.
right? And if maybe I'm dating an avoidant, telling them, I'm seeing that you're pulling away. Like, are we getting too intense? Is this, like you can have those
Do you need
conversations
some
with who
space?
you're dating
Yeah.
from that perspective. But at the end of the day, you still have to act on someone's actions. If someone is not willing to have those kind of conversations, get out. Stop saying it's because he's a fear for. No.
Yeah.
No. This is not someone who has the capacity to
Yeah.
love you the way that you want, and it's okay to leave whether or not you are aware
Yeah.
of like what's actually going on. Because I think sometimes, especially women, we start over psychoanalyzing and making excuses for poor behavior.
Justifying it.
I might be a psychopath sometimes when I'm anxious, but I need to be held accountable to that.
Yeah.
You acted insane. Apologize. It's not like, oh, well, being an anxious. No.
Yeah.
You're still a human being and you need to be held accountable to your actions. So I just wanted to put that out there. Be aware, but still.
So is it possible for a secure attachment person, a secure person, to actually change the insecure attached person?
The anxious for sure. In fact, one of the things that anxious have been told as far as to heal, if you want to heal yourself to be a more secure, date a secure person, you become secure. Not that you will never be anxious, but it's such an easy way, because anxious people, once they have that safety and that stability, the connection, they're good. They're good. So anxious, that's one of the things that you're told. Date secure attachers.
I see. But with avoidance, unless you're mild, and I would say maybe with the avoidance,
You can still work towards it.
you know
But,
what I would say?
yeah.
I would say heal first,
Yeah.
or if you are, something you said that is so important. There's a difference between being self-aware, knowing something, and acting on it.
And allowing that self-awareness to inform your decisions. Yeah.
So if the avoidant is willing, first of all, they know, okay, there's a pattern in my behavior that is not good.
Yeah.
If they admit to that and they're willing to have a dialogue,
Especially
and
the dialogue.
because
Avoidance, if an avoidant can sit and talk and just say what's going on,
Yeah.
most of the time the anxious is willing. And
Yeah.
also the anxious needs to also be
cause,
like relaxed.
Yeah, because let me tell you, anxious,
It's a trip.
Yeah,
It's a trip.
But and they take accountability.
Yeah.
That is one thing with avoidance that I've seen. I remember with avoidance they get quite defensive when you give them constructive criticism. They get defensive, like, what? Because it's like showing them a mirror.
Yeah.
And that is scary to them.
Yeah.
So I think you've answered that question. So I think it is possible, but I would say this is what I've learned is there's this notion that you need to find the right person. I think you need to become the right person.
Oh, definitely. For sure. It's like more, I think most work is on you. And despite all of this, by the way, you can find an anxious attacher who's an asshole. So I want to say there's a difference between attachment and character. Character still remains. He's still not communicating. He's an anxious attacher, but he's not communicating. He's still being out here, maybe cheating. He's an anxious attacher, but he's cheating. So do not think that the secure man that you're going to meet or the secure attacher means that everything is all good. You still have to look through character flaws, no matter what. Yeah.
I love it. So let's say you are anxious.
Yeah.
So you're trying to move on, trying to heal. And then you broke up. And then I don't know how many months, weeks, they come back. What do you do at that point?
Come on, girl. Be for real. Like, leave it alone.
But what would determine whether you should let go or whether you should work on the relationship?
So here, this is where my character like comes in. Once I'm done, I'm done. Like, will I dabble in it because it's a little fun? Yes. But I'm not going to get back with you.
I know, she's so honest. I love it.
I would dabble in it. Like, you're here, like, you know my body, like, a little fun. What's the problem? Like, whatever. But I'm not getting back with you. But that's a character thing. I'm like kind of very clear about that. But I do know if maybe like you're not that way, like now if you start dabbling in it, here you are, you've gone back into the dynamic. I would suggest that if you're not going to be someone who has the capacity to kind of just be like dabble in it and done, like just don't. Just absolutely don't. But what I would say for me is like now this fearful avoidant person, it's like, okay, fine, now we know how things went the way that they are, but let me see the change. Let me see the change. And furthermore, I'm not moving. You are going to come all of the way. You are going to do all of the courting, all of the dancing, 100%. So that you learn to be in vulnerability, so that you learn that it's like you are volunteering to come close. I'm not pressuring you to come close. There would need to be changes about that dynamic because that back and forth, I'm not doing again.
Yeah.
So for me to determine whether or not I'm going to get back with someone, I need to see that the things that were actually an issue are at the forefront of being changed.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're just going back to the same thing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm not exactly against getting back with your exes, but for what? Not out of comfort and familiarity.
Yeah. I love that. I would say, there's that excitement when your ex reaches out because maybe they're truly scared of rejection. That's one of the core wounds. They're scared of being rejected. They're actually scared of being abandoned. So the ones who've got the balls will reach out to you directly or they'll reach out to you. By the way, this will explain some of these social media behaviors. They like either your stories, they like your photos, but akuna po DM. There's no, hey, how you doing?
I'm in the thick of it, sister friend. The thick of it.
Do you understand? Now you have to ask yourself these two questions because I think I understand how like the fearful. Not that I've been doing this, but one, you see, the fearful avoidant misses the connection. And probably they're feeling lonely. But that doesn't mean that they've changed or they even want to commit to you.
That's why you've got to observe the behavior. You're going to decide.
Yeah. And then now it's what she's saying. And let me tell you, when this person reaches out to you, do you know what happens in your brain? You get dopamine.
I love you. I love you.
I
You're
miss
back. I
you.
love you. It's done.
Yeah? Do you understand? So I love what you're saying, that it's like a pre-qualifier of whether this thing is going to work or not.
Yeah, and I think as part of just kind of walking around life as a person who values themselves, like you've got to be willing to let go of the thing that feels good but isn't good. And I think that's where I'm dating from this perspective. Yeah, you're back and it feels good and I'm really into this, but show me, like cash that check.
Show
Let
me,
me
baby.
see the clears. Like, you know, because otherwise it's like, I'm just going to feel good for a moment. Then we are back to the same old dance, you know? And I'm tired. I don't know. My knees are hurting. I'm in my 30s. I can't do this.
You can't do this.
I can't do all of this.
So I think lastly, here, we can keep going about this. I know. And I don't even think we've touched on the what would you call it, attachment styles when it comes to friends and family.
I'm a secure baby girl in all my other dynamics.
Isn't that
I
funny?
am not a jealous friend.
Same.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yes. But there was a time I could see how I used to overvalue like a lot of my relationships. So it's like I was kind of somewhat performing in friendships to keep them, but not anymore. Not anymore. So I am super secure. I flow around my friendships. I'm intentional for sure, but yeah.
So with that being said, I would say with a healthy, secure attachment, something that I've learned and I'm learning is you can be healthily detached, but not from the people, but from the outcome of the relationship.
Oh, right. Anxious would really benefit from that. Really benefit from that.
Because I think with the anxious is they see if this relationship works, it means that I'm worthy. Yeah, it means that I am valuable. It means that I'm special because they chose me. So in that sense, how should we end this? How would a secure person deal with being ghosted?
You allow possibilities. Actually, in therapy, that's one thing she says.
Yeah.
She always tells, I want you in every situation to give me possibilities, because possibilities leave room for gray areas. Somebody has ghosted me. Maybe they don't like me. Maybe they are too afraid. Maybe they like me too much and this is getting... leave them as maybes, but you remove yourself from being the person who needs to decide which maybe actually is the right one. And that's it.
Healthy detachment.
Healthy detachment.
Yeah.
It's like, it could be that they don't like me. And first of all, I need us, especially anxious, it's okay that people don't like you.
Yeah, not everyone will like you.
It's okay that someone doesn't want to be in a relationship. It's okay. Like, again, this comes with a lot of self-work, a lot of therapy, a lot of self-confidence building. But I know someone not liking you is like the end of the world in a certain situation. But now, not so much. It's like I need to like walk around life knowing that it's okay that people don't like me, because some will and some won't.
How would a secure person deal with vulnerability?
The world is safe to them. And I take my mom as an example as far as like how people are. Like, the world is safe.
Yeah.
I can give you my emotions and you're going to be able to like, and first of all, I'm already trusting that you're going to be able to like meet my needs and tell me what I need and self-soothe me. And also I'm not overly relying on you to soothe me, because anxious.
It's
it's not codependent. It's just kind of, I can soothe my own emotions, but this is what I'm feeling. Being honest, being open. If you guys have watched Nobody Wants This. Right?
Yeah.
The guy is as securely attached.
I haven't watched it. I'll check it out. Really? Nobody wants this?
It's okay, you're not perfect. Something had to.
Something had to.
It
had to be this.
It had to be this. It's called Nobody Wants This. It's like this huge movie that it's a series, I guess. Yeah, it's a series, and it's wonderful because the girl is clearly kind of an anxious, but the way she's talking about, she's able to be vulnerable and like say what's going on her mind and etc. But he's a secure attacher, so the way he responds to her emotionally is just, oh my god, really really good. It's on Netflix.
Love it.
Yeah, the guy is a secure attacher.
And the girl was,
it seems like she's anxious. I would say that she's anxious, but she's an aware anxious. So she was able, like, there's a time when she had messaged him and he didn't respond in time. So of course she starts spiraling. But when she next sees him, she tells him, hey, like, I messaged you and you didn't message back, and I started getting into my head a little bit. That honesty.
oh wow.
That honesty to be able to say that to someone.
Yeah.
And then she was also able to be, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah,
Just go
please
watch
don't.
it.
Now I'm gonna watch it. Oh wow.
Yeah.
That is, that's the thing. Don't get it twisted. It's not that secure people find it actually comfortable.
Yeah, everyone feels afraid.
It's just that they are comfortable with being uncomfortable in their feelings.
And they're not spiraling. It's
Nah.
not like so intense for them, maybe.
And there's a humility.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? I'm actually going to tell you what's hurting me.
Yeah.
I used to be like, this is so embarrassing, because there's a need maybe to look like you're perfect or nothing
cool.
bothers you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah.
And then when you do the same thing to me, I'm like, no, I will punish you
Yeah.
by pushing you away.
Yeah.
How would a secure person deal with commitment? Like, how would they approach commitment? So you guys have been dating, or rather you've been talking for 2 months, and then now you're like, hey, okay, maybe this, and you guys really like each other. So, but as a reasonable person, you also want to know, are we on the same page, or should I move on?
I think they'll be honest and open. Like the things other insecurely attached people are.
Vulnerability.
Yes, they're not afraid of that. Like, or it's not such a threat to them. And maybe like people who are securely attached, maybe you can tell us, how do you guys deal with conflict and things like that? Maybe if you are, let us know in the comments below so that other people can understand. But I think it would be that, being able to be vulnerable. I really like you. Honest, like, there's someone who had told me they were definitely secure attached. It was just like, I really like you, and it's starting to like make me feel a bit scared about how much I like you, but I'm leaning into it because I know this is a good thing. That's how an anxious person, a secure person, I would assume. And being open and honest about like the things that are like dark about me and embarrassing and maybe a bit shameful. I am just trying to be so upfront about who I am, because eventually they'll know. Eventually they'll know. So being able, and also like now I'm going away from the idea that I'm only loved when I'm perfect. I'm out of that. It's like I am lovable exactly as I am. And if that's true, I have to be doing that in practice. I have to be showing people my honest, true feelings from the jump. Yeah.
You said something so crucial. With the secure person, they don't idealize people.
No.
And seeing flaws in other people do not scare them.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know the issues that you have.
Yeah.
But for you, what's indicative is this person working to become a better person?
Right, yeah.
Even fights, after you've dealt with conflict, you can even look back and you can even laugh about some of the things you fought.
It's different, yeah. I'm working on acting like a secure. Let the secure attachment reach me there.
Yeah.
So in the dynamics of like, I'm vulnerable, I don't like how things are going, like how am I acting? Because when you start acting away, you become the thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way, like I can feel like this is a place I should be vulnerable, but I really don't want to be, because anxious people don't always like being vulnerable either. We are emotional, that doesn't mean that we're vulnerable.
So as we wrap this up, what advice would you give to I guess people who are hurting? Gosh, that's such a, I know, a blanket, but maybe you can even speak to the anxious.
For anxious, actually, I would say everyone go to therapy. I have a therapist contact list on my page, on my highlights, where you can find a therapist. There are their rates, their locations. Please, it's already been done, most of it done for you. Just need to select and call.
Yeah.
So therapy, because of healing my childhood traumas, I've gone towards secure, because what's really at the root is still like some trauma. So it's like when you heal those, you're able to be a bit better. Being able to be honest and open, learning and understanding all of this in a deep way, so that you can be self-aware, so that they're not driving anymore. Even when I see myself spiraling because maybe someone is not responding as fast or whatever else, I'm able to see it from the outside as opposed to be it. Secure attachers go to therapy as well. Some of your characters need sharpening too.
A little bit, I would say, I think something that people don't realize, because you can have a insecure attached person and they go for therapy, but then the friends around them are enabling them to remain where they are. There's a friend of mine because I talked to them and I told them, yeah, I'm doing this whole attachment thing and you need to watch. And they're like, okay, good. I'm going to send this video to
Yeah, I know who you want to send it to. Send it. Send it. Rock the boat, babe. Rock the boat.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think this is talked about enough. If you're either of these insecure attached people, just know that it's not fixed. It can actually be changed.
It can definitely be changed.
It can change.
I can tell you that how I'm dating now is very different how I was dating my early 20s. I can tell you that now.
Yeah. And one thing you have to realize is that it's unfair because some of these traumas, childhood traumas, are not of your own doing, but the responsibility lies in you changing. So that's where the responsibility comes in. And for those of you who are trying to heal, you probably think that this person was everything to you, but you'd be shocked once you start to heal. And I've heard so many of my friends
play,
and then you become a healthy person, and then this person comes back, you even realize, what did I see in them?
You see what was at play. It kind of wasn't you. You were kind of not even in that relationship. Yeah.
So I'd say that's do a whole lot more research. It's important so that people stop hurting each other.
Yeah.
Their core wounds, people are just looking, truly deep down, they're looking for love.
Yeah.
And I guess with this whole, I love that I could be able to talk to you about it at such depth.
Yeah.
Because you have more empathy and you don't personalize the things that have happened to you.
I don't. I really, really don't. And I think if you walk, especially in the dating world from that perspective, you're going to have a really hard time.
Yeah.
Like people have their own shit beyond attachment styles. People have their own shit.
Yeah.
And they're just like going through life in that way,
Yeah.
So it's like you've got to just... Yeah, think about it. Like you have your world and everyone has theirs. So for you to be thinking that you are the center of theirs,
no,
it's actually incorrect. Let's start there.
Yeah. And don't fix anyone. It's not your job.
You can't. So
please don't.
Stop wasting your time.
Yeah, you
go
fix
secure
yourself.
the bag.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Fix yourself, become a whole person.
Yeah.
And then let the person deal with their issues and pray for them and hopefully that's true.
Yeah, and you don't have to be fully healed to find love and to find a stable connection.
I love that
like
too.
So that like the premise of just like heal and then no, just continue healing and go as
because heal can become toxic too.
It can be. It can be just like it can be a way to avoid. By the way, when I'm this way, that's when I'm going to find love. When I'm this way, then I'll start dating. It can be a thing that stops you from actually immersing yourself in like finding connection because healing is never ending. So it keeps, you always say that there's something you need to get to be able to find that closeness. No, date when you're insecure, date when you're going through it. It's just part of life. But the awareness and the work that you're doing is going to help support your connection. So you're lovable even when you are insane. It's okay.
You're human. We're all flawed. Love it. Thank you so much, Lydia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Episode 18.
Yay.
I'd want to have you back.
Yeah,
I would.
Do this. Let's do it again.
Alrighty, so you guys see you next episode.
See ya.